So here's the deal. We're going to do word problems, and I just call them mixture problems because lots of different problems are this type of problem, okay? So Eduardo wants to make 13 milliliters of a 50% solution. So think of this like in chemistry. Like let's say you have, or chemical, like if you are putting chemical on your lawn to like kill the dandelions, or if you're putting it out on your field, okay? Like we'll buy chemical and then mix it with a certain amount of water and put it out on our fields, okay? So anyway, let's say you want to make 13 milliliters of a 50% saline solution by mixing together an 80% solution and a 15% solution. So a saline solution is salt water. So you have one like big huge container in your pantry, or if you're in the chemistry room, in the chemistry closet, there's a big container that's 80% salt water. And then there's another one that's 15% salt water, and you want to mix it together so you end up with a 50% solution. So on a mixture problem, I always make a picture like this. A bucket plus a bucket equals a new bucket. Okay? Because we are literally mixing things together. We're taking something from this bucket and putting it into a new bucket. Okay? Then you're going to fill in your information. I always put the amounts inside the bucket because that seems to make sense. Like the amount goes inside the bucket and the percentage or the concentration goes underneath it. So if you want to make 13 milliliters of a 50% solution, wouldn't your result be 13 milliliters? Yeah. And the 50% is what your resulting thing is. So the thing that you want to make or you want to end up with goes here, okay? Then the other two, the 80% and 15% is what these two are. And it doesn't matter which is which because you're mixing two things together. It doesn't matter if you're going to mix flour and sugar. It doesn't matter which you pour in the bowl first, okay? So one of them's 15 and one of them's 80. Now, we don't know what these amounts are. We just know they add up to 13. Like it could be 10 plus 3, or it could be 8 plus 5. It could be 12 and 1. We don't know. So in math, when we don't know, we call them variables, okay? So we're going to put X milliliters into this bucket out of the 15% solution, okay? And then we're going to put Y milliliters in this bucket or from this bucket and put it in here to end up with 13. So we're going to make two equations. Like this whole unit, we're making two equations to solve for two variables, two unknowns. So we're going to make one equation that's going to say X plus Y is equal to 13. Because X is the milliliters from this bucket, Y is the milliliters from this bucket, and it's got to end up to be 13. So X plus Y is 13. The other equation always comes from the percents times the amount. Because what is making this a saline solution is the fact that there's salt in there. And the amount of salt in this bucket plus the amount of salt in this bucket, if you put it together, that's how you get the amount of salt in this bucket. Or if you're talking about chemicals, however much pesticide you have in here, it doesn't matter how much water is in there. How much pesticide in here plus pesticide in here is how much total pesticide you have at the end. So the way that we get that amount is we take the percent times the amount. So 0.15 times X plus 0.80 times Y equals 0.50 times 13. So one equation is always the amount plus the amount equals the new amount. The other equation is the percent times the amount plus the other percent times the amount equals the final percent times the final amount. Okay? These are variables, so you can't, like I can't simplify 0.15 times X any more than it already is, but I can take 0.5 times 13 and change that. That would be 6.5, so that would equal 6.5, okay? Now, there's two ways to do this. We could do this with elimination. I don't know if any of you are starting to have a preference. After students do this a while, some students feel like they prefer elimination, they like to do it that way, or they prefer substitution, they start to do it that way. If you want to do elimination, I'm not going to recommend it, but you can. If you want to do elimination, you can take this whole equation and multiply it by negative 0.15, and that would make your x's cancel out. Or you could multiply it by negative 0.80 and make your y's cancel out and then work the whole problem that way. But because we have x plus y equals 13, because these x's and y's always are going to have just one number, like it's not going to be 7x and 2y. It's 1x and 1y. It's really easy to change this to substitution. If I move my x over, I can rearrange this to y equals 13 minus x. Okay, these are the same equations. They're just rearranged. X plus y is 13 means the same as y is 13 minus x. And if you think about this, this amount would equal 13 minus x. Like if this turns out to be 10, y is going to be 3. Like this y is always going to be 13 minus this number. So if we do that, this thing, y is equal to 13 minus x, that thing is going to go in place of the y. And so my new equation is 0.15x plus 0.80 times y, which is 13 minus x, and then equals, and then 6.5. So now you're going to want to have your calculators handy for these because you're going to be dealing with a lot of decimals. So 0.15x plus 0.8, and some of you know 0.8 is the same as 0.80. I normally wouldn't put the 0 in here, but I did that for you so you could see that it comes from 80%. So 0.8 times 13 is 10.4. So plus 10.4 minus, because you got to do this 80 times both of them. So minus 0.80x equals 6.5. Then I'm going to put this x and this x together. So 0.15 minus 0.8 is negative 0.65x. So don't worry about it if you get a negative number. That's okay. So this number and this number go to give you that. And I'm going to bring this down. Plus 10.4 equals 6.5. So now I'm going to subtract 10.4 from both sides. Bring down negative 0.65x equals, and 6.5 minus 10.4 is negative 3.9. Now, when you go to do this, it's not going to look like they're going to come out even. Like you've got a lot of decimals. Make sure that you always divide by the decimal that's on the letter. So negative 0.65. And so divided by negative 0.65, and I get x equals 6. You should get nice integers. There's decimals in your problem, but your answer should be integers. Okay? So this means I need 6 milliliters. X turned out to be 6. So I need 6 milliliters of the 15% solution. That sunlight shining in there makes that hard to read on the overhead. So you get 6 milliliters of this. Well, if you need 13, 13 minus 6 is 7. So you need 7 milliliters of the 80% solution. Okay? Questions about that before we go into the next example? Okay, let's see if you guys can do part of number 2. Okay? So it's a mixture problem, so you're always going to start out with a bucket plus a bucket equals a bucket. Okay? Everybody fill in the amounts in the buckets right now. Read the problem and fill the amounts in the buckets and fill the percentages in down below. Okay, so for your amounts, we want to make a 10% or 10 ounces of a 40% solution. So I'm going to put a 10 there because I want 10 ounces. So I'm going to put an X there and a Y there. Then my percentages, it's going to go a 40% there, and then I need an 80 and a 30. So it doesn't matter which is which. I'm just going to put them in order. So small there. So you should have that as your picture. Okay. So somebody say out loud, what's one of the equations we're going to have? What's the simple equation?
X plus y equals 10.
Exactly. X plus y equals 10. Okay. Now you guys take a second and write down what you think the other equation is. Hopefully you're using pencil, so if it's wrong, we can fix it. Write down the other equation. And then I'll call on somebody in a second. Hold on, we'll see. What do you think it is, Trayton?
I have no clue.
Yes, you do.
I don't know.
Y equals 10 minus x.
Yeah, we're going to change this to y equals 10 minus x. So if you want to do that now, you can. Y equals 10 minus x. Chayden, what do you think the other equation is? Over here, we did 0.15x plus 0.80y is 50 times 13. What do you think the other equation is? You got a guess? Uh-huh. So I heard someone else say 30x.
80y equals 40 times 10.
Exactly. And then make sure you guys put decimals on your percentages. 30% is the same as 0.30. 80% is the same as 0.80. And 40 is 0.40. So your other equation is 0.30x plus 0.80y equals 0.4 times 10. So then you're ready to take this equation, this y equals 10 minus x, and put it in place of y. So hopefully you're starting to see that this is very, very similar to the first problem. It's kind of complicated, but it's exactly the same every time. So 0.30x, yeah, just a second, plus 0.80, and then y is 10 minus x, and then 0.4 times 10 would be 4. There's some calculators there. Shane, did you say you needed one? If other of you need them, there's calculators. Okay, so then if you go to solve this equation, you'd have 0.30x plus, and then remember you got to do distributive property here. So that's going to be 8 minus 0.80x equals 4. Okay, so 0.30 and 0.80 are the ones with the x's on it, so you got to put them together. So that's going to be negative 0.50x. Then you still have the plus 8 equals 4. Then I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So negative 0.50x equals negative 4. And then you're going to divide everything by the decimal on the letter. And then that's going to give you a positive 8. Negative 4 divided by negative 0.50 is going to give you 8. Yeah, it's hard to see. Can you see it?
How'd you get
0.3 minus 0.8. Because I've combined like terms on that side of the equation. I've got that scrunched down as much as I can. You guys need me to scroll it up or down? Now let's finish this real quick. So like we've done all the major work. So if x is 8, that means I need 8 ounces of the 30% solution. And then how many ounces does that leave for the 80% solution? 2, because I need 10 altogether. So I'm basically using this y equals 10 minus x. Like normally we have to plug the number back in, but these are going to be so simple. You're technically plugging the number back in, but you're just probably going to do it in your head. 10 minus 8 is 2, so 2 ounces. On your worksheet today, you're going to put your answers in Schoology, and it's going to be fill in the blank, and it's going to say blank ounces of 30% solution and blank ounces of 80%. So make sure you get the right number with the right thing. Don't tell me it's 2 in 30 and 8 in 80. Okay? All right. I'm going to stop the video for a second.